the online family on there. All praises for another Sabbath. So this is going to be part 3, I believe, of Saul and David. I know when we left off on chapter 19. So we're going to pick up at chapter 20. And this is where it gets good. I wanted to definitely go over this because this is where it gets very technical. And you can see the character of David and Saul. And like I said, we're going to be going through the kings. So we're going to go through all of the kings. All right. All of the kings, the whole history. It's going to be quite lengthy, but I definitely want to touch at least the important parts of the kings. So it's dealing with David and all the important characters, Solomon, and so on and so forth. So let's get to it. Let's get 1 Samuel and let's go 20:1. All right. So the last place we left off with David was actually fleeing from Saul. Okay, he was running from Saul. Saul tried to kill him, made several different attempts on his life to actually kill him. And this last attempt in chapter 19, David fled from Saul. And now when you're going to read in chapter 20, where David and Jonathan, which is Saul's son, they're going to come with a pact. All right. And they're going to have an agreement so that they could see whether David should come around Saul again or not. Now, this is important because a lot of times in the Israelite community, and I might hit some buttons, I'm not going to lie, with my Hebrew brothers in the truth, but this is very important because in this lesson, this one in particular, you're going to figure out that all Israel, yes, we're brothers, absolutely. But when a brother is trying to kill you, do you have to be around that brother? You got a lot of brothers that think that. You got a lot of brothers that, and now we're not talking about physically. We even talking about assassinating your character. Do you gotta be around a brother that assassinates your character? Because a lot of brothers think that. I call it the "we Israel" syndrome. You got a brother or a sister that's treating you wrong, and they won't repent from it. The scriptures teach you how to deal with that out of wisdom, and you're going to see how David actually dealt with it. Is David a man after God's own heart? All right, let's see what David did. Let's go to 1 Samuel 20:1. I love this story. Read verse 1, Lord.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 1.
Read.
And David fled from Noath and Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, what have I done? What is mine iniquity? What is my sin before thy father?
Because what did David do to Saul? David didn't do anything to Saul. So David is confused at this point. Like, what is my iniquity? What did I do to this person? Like, what did I do for him to continually try to kill me? Right? Read.
And what is my sin before thy father that he seeketh my life?
And in this lesson, I love this because this is going to teach us how that we should be. Like, we get a lot of questions. Sometimes I've gotten questions before. How do you deal with controversy in Israel? Like, how do you deal with it? David's story with Saul is a perfect example of how you deal with controversy. Because one thing you're going to see in this story is that David did not hate his brother in his heart. Did David hate Saul in his heart? David did not hate him in his heart. But was David oblivious to the hatred and the vitriol that his brother was trying to put upon him? Not at all. This is going to teach you how to be. You can be, all right, and have a loving spirit towards your brother, but still separate from your neighbor. All right. The scriptures is going to show you that with David. David loved Saul and he loved Jonathan. But David also knew sometimes in this walk, sometimes you got to let a brother, you know what? I'm going to let that brother go walk over there and I'm going to walk over here. Most High in Christ be blessed with that brother. Let that brother live and follow the commandments over there because me and this brother can't dwell. You know who else teaches you that? Paul and Barnabas. When Paul and Barnabas got into a dispute, what happened? They separated. You know what? You go over there, do the works. We're gonna do the works over here. You're gonna see that. So David is like, look, what is my wrong? Read, watch this.
Verse 2. And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father would do nothing either great or small, but that he will show it to me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. And David sware moreover and said, thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes.
See, the Bible's going to give us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and discretion on how to deal with certain things. The Bible is a book of wisdom. So in each story, you can get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So I'm gonna give an example. The law is the guidelines of what we follow in the Bible, right? But you still can get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the stories. You still can get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from every aspect of the things that go on in the Bible. So we're going to take some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from this story. So David and Jonathan are coming together, and they're asking each other. They're asking each other what we should do to see if Saul is actually going to kill you. Right? Read. Watch this. Read.
And he said, let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved.
Read.
But truly as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. Then said Jonathan unto David, whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon.
So tomorrow's the new moon. And what did he say? Read.
And I should not fail to sit with the king at meat.
Read.
But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me that he might run to Bethlehem.
Okay, so David is going to hide for 3 days. He's going to hide in the wilderness for 3 days. All right. And after the 3 days, they're going to meet. And once Jonathan meets with David, Jonathan is going to let David know if his father is going to kill him or not. All right. So let's fast forward. So this is what's happening. So let's go and let's skip down and let's read verse 5 again. Read verse 5 again.
Verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I shall not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me that he might run to Bethlehem, his city.
You see that? So now they're coming up with this plan to hide in the field. Now, it's not like David to miss a feast of the Lord, right? This is also how you know you're supposed to keep the feast of the Lord. Was it something that was strange for David to miss the feast of the Lord? Absolutely. It was like, the king is going to ask, where's David at? For you brothers, you cannot miss the feast of the Lord. Not a new moon or whatever. You see the wise men in the Bible never miss the feast of the Lord. So David always was there for the Most High celebration. So if he's not there, of course, Saul's going to ask. And then if he answers kindly unto Jonathan, then we know that evil's not going to be done unto David. But if he speaks roughly unto Jonathan, then we understand that he's trying to kill David. So let's go from there. Let's read verse 10. Skip down to verse 10.
Verse 10. Then said David to Jonathan, who shall tell me? Or what if thy father answer thee roughly? And Jonathan said unto David, come, and let us go out into the field.
Read.
And they went out, both of them, into the field. And Jonathan said unto David, O Lord God of Israel, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow any time, or the third day, and behold, if there be good toward David, and I then sin not unto thee, and show it thee. The Lord do so, and much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do thee evil, then I will show it to thee, and send thee away, that thou mayest go in peace.
So Jonathan is basically telling David, you can trust me. All right. You can trust me. All right. So now let's get there. Let's get to the actual ceremony process and let's see what happens. So let's read verse 24. Skip down to verse 24. Read that.
Verse 24. So David hid himself in the field. And when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat.
Okay. So, and this also lets you know, are we supposed to celebrate new moon? You got a lot of brothers tell, we ain't celebrating new moon. We ain't got to celebrate new moon. Do you have to come down and celebrate new moon? Did David do it? Did Saul do it? If Saul did it, did the kingdom do it? If the kingdom did it, did the prophets do it? So who the hell are the 2023 Israelites telling you ain't got to do it? You do got to keep new moon. All right. So they sat down at meat. All right. Sat down at meat. Real quick, I see Princess Erica. We do kindly take donations, but donate after the Sabbath if you can. Okay. I just want to answer that real quick. So donate after the Sabbath. All right. So now new moon comes. They're sitting at meat. What happens? Read.
Verse 25. And the king sat upon his seat as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose.
So it says he sat on his seat as other times, meaning that they keep new moon regularly. All right, watch this. Read.
And Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty.
Abner was like that blind homie that just blindly followed a homie no matter what. That's how Abner was. Abner was one of those people. I know somebody like that. Just blindly follow. He don't ask no questions. He could be doing something wicked. He just gonna blindly follow him. That's how Abner was to Saul. All right. Watch this. Read.
Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him.
Okay, so the first day they eating their food, right? So Saul didn't say anything after that. He said, okay, surely something has befallen David then, because he's not here, right? Read.
He is not clean. Surely he is not clean.
It says he's not clean, meaning he's unclean. What is this scripture showing you, brothers? What ways could David be made unclean? Sex, intercourse, all right? It says, surely he is unclean if he's not at the feast of the Lord. So can brothers be trying to get it off on the feast day? No. All right. What else can make you unclean? A dead body, so on and so forth. But we understand that intercourse is also a main thing. So Saul is like, look, David surely he has to be unclean. Read.
And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month.
Even though David wasn't unclean, he was actually hiding himself from Saul. Read. And
it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month.
Now watch this. Read.
That David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet?
So now Saul is concerned now. Does Saul really care about David? No. But he thought that this was going to be my chance. So he's asking Jonathan, where the heck is David at? Read.
Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today?
Like, and he not here to eat yesterday. I ain't seen him today. Read.
And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, let me go, I pray thee, for our family have a sacrifice in the city. And my brother, he have commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me get away. I pray thee, and see my brother. Therefore, he cometh not unto the king's table.
So they made up some lie. They made up some excuse. They said, look, David is actually going to go see some relatives, and he asked leave, and I gave him leave. Now, watch the hatred that Saul had. Now, let me tell y'all something. This hatred is still alive in Israel today. This hatred is very much alive in Israel. This is why we got brothers fighting on the corners. Understand? Boxing on corners like Crips and Bloods. And you got brothers in the truth making videos. And you literally got a camp of brothers that all they do is just make videos of new camps that come up. This same hatred is alive and well to this day in Israel. These same spirits we dealing with in Israel. Watch this. Read.
Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan. And he said unto him, thou son of the perverse rebellious woman.
Now, he was so angry, he disrespected Jonathan's mother. Read it again from the top.
Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan. And he said unto him, thou son of the perverse rebellious woman.
That's similar to calling a woman a female dog. So basically, that's Saul telling his son, you son of a, to his son. This is how hatred. Ever had that person that just hates you so much that not even his kids is safe from your hatred? You better hate him like I hate him. That's some deep hate. Watch this. Read. It don't stop there. Watch this. Read.
Thou son of the perverse rebellious woman.
Read.
Do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thy own confusion? And into the confusion of thy mother's nakedness?
Read.
For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die.
See, this is one thing that you can't do. You can't kick against the pricks. It's nothing you can do when the Most High gives you a judgment, but accept it. But Saul couldn't accept it, to the point to where he thought to himself to be so angry at his son. Look at what he did. Read.
And Jonathan answered Saul his father and said unto him, wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him.
He tried to kill his son. This is how much of the hatred that Saul had for David, to the point where he just told his son, if you don't get your act together and kill David, then you not gonna be king. But then at the same time, he threw a javelin at Jonathan. So Jonathan gonna be king if that javelin would have hit him? But that's the delusion. That's how much hatred Saul had for David, to where he tried to kill his own son. Read.
Whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of him. Salakia. Whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David.
And you know, if he tried to kill his own son, you know he's gonna try to kill David. It's no question. That's the hatred. This is why Saul was rejected from being king. He was rejected from being king because ultimately he hated his brother so much to where he was willing to kill his own seed. But Saul gets even worse. That's why, brothers, if you got any hatred in your heart for any of your brothers, that's what the law says. Do not hate your brother in the heart. If you got any hatred in your heart for your brother, fix that, because all it's going to do is manifest and get worse and worse and worse and worse. And then next thing you know, you're going to be so far from the Most High God. This is for everybody that's online. Everybody that's online. It's not one of them lessons where we cutting Esau and all that. And this is talking about spiritual growth. You got hatred in your heart for your brother, you need to let that go, because what it's going to eventually do is cause you to fester so much to where you're going to go further and further from the Most High God. True story. This is what happens. And likewise for your sisters. That's why the scriptures tell you it's nothing worse. In the Apocrypha, it tells you it's nothing worse than a woman that is jealous over another woman. Because what is jealousy? Hatred. If you got hate in your brother, this is the lengths that anyone will go, right? So now, once that happens, Jonathan goes and departs, and now he has to go meet David, all right? So, and he eventually meets David, and once he meets David, he tells David what happened. Him and Jonathan hug each other. They give each other their final salutations, because the thing about it is, Jonathan and David understand that this is the last time I'm going to see you. Because it's to the point where if he going to kill me too. He going to kill his own son. So now they do their piece, right? So let's get from there. Let's see what happened to David after. Go to chapter 21, read verse 1. Read.
1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 1.
Read.
Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, why art thou alone, and no men with thee?
All right, so Ahimelech is the priest, right? So David goes to see the priest. Read.
And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, the king have commanded me a business, have said unto me, let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place.
So now, did David tell Ahimelech the truth? Nope. He had to lie to him, because right now you got the king trying to kill you. That's why, brothers, sometimes, one thing you'll learn about David's story, don't be over righteous. Sometimes to save your life, you got to lie. I'm actually here on King's business. Ahimelech, I'm on King's business. I need a favor from you. And watch what he asks. Read.
Now, therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand.
Because he hasn't eaten in 3 days. So he's like, look, I need you to give me 5 loaves of bread. You think Ahimelech is going to tell him no? No, this is King David, right? This is David that went among the Philistines, and Saul killed his thousands and David killed his tens of thousands. So you think he's going to tell him no? Watch what happens. Read.
Now there, Salakia, verse 4. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread, that the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest.
That's another precept let you know sexual intercourse makes you unclean. I mean, you can't take part of the Lord's things. You cannot take part of the Lord's holy days if you're unclean. No, we cannot have sex on the Sabbath. I know that. Ram used to get at brothers on that one, boy. No, you cannot have sex on the Sabbath. Now, of course, we understand things happen, brothers, in your sleep. Nothing you can do about that. But, just going into town and all that, nah. All right. It's unclean. All right. Yeah, we have some brothers that really struggle with that. They didn't like that. But we read the whole Bible. All right. They'd be like, that it ain't in the law. Bro,
I say the Sabbath is for us to joy, brother. We're supposed to be joyous.
We're supposed to be joyous on the Sabbath, man.
It's not grievous.
It's a release. Nah. But but no, it makes you unclean. So the priest asked David, look, you can't partake in this hollow bread if you are unclean and lay with women. So anyway, of course they didn't lay with women, because what were they doing? They were hiding for 3 days, correct? Come on. So now, as they're hiding, right, they eat the bread, they give the hollow bread, David goes on his way. David is still running from Saul. Now the crazy thing about it is, this is the cold thing about it is, when you read the story, and we keep reading, David, y'all know where David went to go hide? Where? Take a guess. Where do y'all think David went to go hide? He went to go hide amongst his enemies, the heathen. David went to go hide with the Philistines. I'm going to let y'all let that sink. That's how strong the hatred of your people can be. So brothers, I know brothers love Israel. We just all got to get along. I get it. But no one hates you more than your own people. You got to be careful. Got to have wisdom. Everybody is not for you. And all Israel will not be saved. So you have to be careful. And this is what you learn reading the story of David. David wasn't stupid. You know what? It's no way. I'm just going to go talk to him. And that javelin would have stuck him in the head. I'm serious. Y'all got to use wisdom out there, man. Scriptures tell you, you take in your enemy and he become like a wiping glass that's stained. You wiped it away, but as soon as you wiped it away, the stain came back. It's real life, true story. Now watch what David does, right? So David leaves after eating the bread. Let's read down and let's read verse 6.
Verse 6. So the priest gave him hollow bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day.
Now watch this. I think this was the sickest thing that Saul ever did. So after David leaves, right, one of Saul's men, they come because they looking for David. So they tracking his movements. All right, they tracking his movements. Watch this. Read.
Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day.
And who was he?
Detained before the Lord. And his name was Doeg, an Edomite.
This is the Edomite. This is the Edomite in Saul's one of Saul's men was an Edomite, right? Doeg, right? Watch this. Read.
The chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul.
Hey, and I heard brothers try to use Israel where all nations would be saved using Doeg, the Edomite. Like, how you do that? That's crazy. This dude was sick. But watch what he says though. So he came, and what happened? Read.
And David said unto Ahimelech, and there is there not here under thy hand spear or sword.
Now remember, the Edomite was there, but the Edomite didn't try to kill David yet because the Edomite didn't know that the king wanted David dead. But Doeg is there. So David recognized that. So David peeped game like, hold on. I'm kind of moving secretly. Only me and my homies know what happened. I'm trying to get this bread. He get the bread. He spied the Edomite. He like, oh yeah, that's one of Saul's people. Let me get up out of here. But before I get up out of here, hey, do you got a sword? What was David letting you know that he was going to have to do if he ran across any of his people trying to get him? Kill him! Y'all looking shocked. No, we got to love Israel. We cannot kill them. We have to hug him. Why did David need a sword? David was like, hey, man, you got a sword? Watch what David do. Read.
For I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste.
Read.
And the priest said, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, who now slew us in the valley of Elah. Behold, it is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it. For there is no other save that here. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me.
David was such a cold warrior. David was like, give me Saul weapon. I mean, give me Goliath weapon. Y'all want to just imagine how big his sword must have been? David said, nah, but that's good. Give me that. Give me that sword. That's the same sword I used to cut his head off. Give me that. So David armed himself, got him a weapon, got his weapons, right? Read.
And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul.
Read.
And went to Ashish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, is not this David, the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another a hymn and dances, saying, Saul have slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David laid up these words in his heart and was so afraid of Achish.
So he had went to the king Achish, right? And Achish was like, isn't this David? Isn't this the guy that killed the Philistines and put fear in all of the land? Right? Isn't this him? And then what did David do? David is so smart. David is very clever. What did David do? Read.
Verse 13, and he changed his behavior before them and feigned himself mad in their hands and scrambled on the doors of the gate and let his spittle fall down upon his beard.
David started acting crazy. Started acting crazy, beard all going down because he wanted them to think, oh man, this dude a madman now. So it could give him enough time to get out of there. What does this also let you know, brothers? The men had what? Beards. So unfortunately, David probably was my height, but he had a longer beard than me. All right. But nonetheless, David had to act crazy, right? And what happened? Read.
Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see the man is mad. Wherefore then have you brought him to me? Have I need a madman? That ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house?
So he like, man, take David away from me. Like, y'all brought a madman to me. This is a madman. Take him away. So David is doing all of this because David is trying to escape. Can you imagine a whole nation chasing you? I'm gonna talk about it in gangbanging terms because we in LA, right? Imagine you move to the enemy hood and the whole hood looking for you. Imagine that. Now imagine all of America looking for you. So David had to leave. So imagine all of America looking for you. You gotta flee to like what's another close nation to us? You gotta flee to like Europe, You gotta flee to Mexico. Imagine that. Who want to flee to Mexico? Right? You gotta flee. Or forget that, because those still technically are people. I'm gonna give y'all. Imagine you gotta flee to China or something. Or Russia. Imagine you gotta flee to or just somewhere that's super, super foreign to you. And this is what David had to go through. Watch this. Read. Now go to chapter 23. Let's continue to 22 and 1. Read that.
1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 1.
Read.
David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him.
Read.
And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented, gathered themselves unto him, and he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men.
All right, so now David had to flee. Once David had to flee, he ended up gathering 400 men. 400 men he ended up gathering. And then they went into the mountains to basically hide out. So now let's skip a little bit. Let's read verse. Let's get to the point. Read verse 9. Now watch this. Read.
Verse 9. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse come into Nob, to Ahimelech the son of Ahitub. And he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine.
So now, Saul is tracking David's movements. All right? Saul is tracking David's movements. So Saul ended up tracking David to Ahimelech. And so now, Saul is looking for him. And remember, Doeg was there. So Doeg tells Saul, hey, this dude gave him some food and gave him a weapon. And I seen him. Now, did Ahimelech, did he know that Saul was trying to kill him? He did not know. But at the same time, why would he want to do any harm to David, saying that David was a champion? So let's see what happens. Read.
Verse 11. Then the king sent to call Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests that were in Nob. And they came all of them to the king. And Saul said, hear now, thou son of Ahitub.
So now King Saul says, bring them to me. And not only did he say, bring the priests to me, he said, bring his whole family to me. Bring his entire family to me. Read.
And he answered, here I am, my Lord. And Saul said unto him, why have you conspired against me?
Ain't that something? Saul says that the priests of the Most High God were conspiring against him. Did he know anything? He didn't even know. All he knows is this is King David. Imagine if King David came to your front door and said, hey, I need somewhere to crash. You gonna tell him no? You gonna bring him in like that? Come on, David. So the priest didn't have no understanding, but look at what Saul did. Saul said, why have you done and come against me to conspire against me? This is how mad Saul is. Y'all see how hatred can make you? Hatred can make you so mad you can't even see the truth. It makes you so mad that everybody can become your enemy towards the person that is your that you hate. This is how mad Saul was. But watch what he does. Read
verse 13. And Saul said unto him, why have you conspired against me, thou and the son of Jesse, in that thou hast given him bread and a sword, and has inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait at this day.
And watch what Ahimelech says. So he's telling him, why have you conspired against me? You have conspired against me so my life can be taken. And look, watch what he says. Read.
Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, and who is so faithful among all thy servants as David?
He like, bro, who's more great of your servants than David? Who was a greater servant than David? Right? Read.
Which is the king's son-in-law.
And he says, not only is David like one of your greatest servants, but he's also your son-in-law. What do you think I'm supposed to tell him? No? Like, this is your son-in-law and the greatest of your servants. Watch this, read.
And goeth at thy bidding, and is honorable in thine house. Do I then begin to inquire of God for him? Be it far from me, let not the king impute anything unto his servant, nor to all the house of my father. For thy servant knew nothing of all at this.
Saul has so much hatred in his heart, he was about to kill his entire family. Now, y'all might not understand. This is the priest of the Lord that has not done any wrong. This is what hatred does to you. Hatred makes you mad. This is why the Lord tells you, do not hate your brother in your heart, because when you hate your brother in your heart, these are the lengths that you can go. This is why we got gang banging in the street. This is why black people can't get together at family cookouts without fighting each other, because that same hatred that we see in the scriptures, which are our people, is that same hatred we harbor now. Aunt Sandra ain't talked to Aunt Susan in years. You know, the aunts can hold grudges for years. Uncle Bobo don't like to talk to Uncle Pete. Every time Uncle Bobo and Uncle Pete get together, they fight. You can still see this hatred. And guess what? You still see this same hatred in the truth. Very much alive. It ain't going nowhere. You see it all in the truth. The same hatred. If you have this type of hatred in your heart, don't kid yourself. You're not in the truth for the Most High God. This is what Saul ends up doing to this man's household. Read verse 17.
Verse 17, and the king said unto the footmen that stood about him,
read,
turn and slay the priests of the Lord.
He told his men to kill the priest of the Most High God. This is why Saul was further rejected. Because I used to always think to myself, dang, David did kind of do a little bit worse than Saul, didn't he? Like, all Saul did was, like, you know, I mean, not to say it's not bad, but if you look at, you know, the Most High has mercy on whom he has mercy on. David committed murder, he did, and he also committed adultery. But Saul just kept sheep. So somebody can look at that and say, well, technically what Saul did was not as bad as what David did. But no, what Saul had was hatred in his heart for his brother, which ultimately made him kill the priest of the Most High God. And not just the priest, to kill his entire family. But when Saul told his men to do this, you think who gonna do that? Huh? They said, not me. That's exactly what they said. When he said, kill the priest of the Most High God, you know what they did? They all looked at each other like, now, hold on, bro. You going too far now. I'm not killing the priest of the Most High God, brother. And even Saul knew he was tripping, because when we read it, even Saul knew he was tripping. Because Saul didn't even say, okay, I'm going to kill y'all too. Saul just was like, all right, forget y'all. I'm going to go find somebody to do it. Watch this. Read. Watch.
It says, turn and slay the priests of the Lord, because our hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled.
He said, kill the priest of the Lord because of David. You know how crazy that sounds? Watch this. Read.
And did not show it to me, but the servants of the king would not put forth their hands to fall upon the priests of the Lord.
First of all, the priest and his family didn't even know anything about what was going on, first of all. And second of all, these are the priests of the Most High God. What did David even do to you? But they didn't put their hands. But who did, though? Watch this.
And the king said to Doeg,
that filthy Edomite. Because you know who will kill the priests of the Lord? Esau. So watch this. And this is a precursor of what's going to happen to you. Your people won't hate you so much, they'll team up with the most vile of the vile human being to kill you. That's why the scripture says, and many should be offended, and they should lift you up, and you should be killed in my name's sake. Who you think they talking about that's going to lift you up? Your family. People that hate you. When they start cracking down on the Israelites, really cracking down on the Israelites, you think your brother, your cousin, your mama won't give you up? He in that coat anyway. I told that boy not to do in that coat. You think they not gonna turn you over? Shoot, you think brothers that wear fringes ain't gonna turn you over when it get hot? Listen, brother, I know you an Israelite, but look, we don't even want you. You know, we don't even want you. We want your man's over there. Where he at? We'll have all type of people turning on each other. That same spirit. And the enemy is going to be happy to take you out. So Doeg, which is a filthy Edomite, this is what he does. Read.
And the king said to Doeg, turn thou and fall upon the priests.
Read.
And Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priests.
Oh, the Edomite's going to slay Israel with no question. You think an Edomite going to have a problem saying the police are the Most High? He did it with the quickness. Saul was so wicked, he had the priests of the Most High destroyed. Watch this, read.
And slew on that day fourscore and 5 persons that did wear a linen ephod. And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword, both man and woman, children and sucklings, and oxen, and asses, and sheep with the edge of the sword.
Now, you know what's funny? This is funny. Y'all got to pay attention to the spirit. It says he killed everybody when it came to the priests of the Lord. But did he do that with Amalek? You see how thick his hatred is? His hatred is so thick, he didn't have no problem killing everybody when it came to that. His own people that were priests of the Lord. But when the Lord told him to do it the first time, you think he had mercy on Amalek? Your people got more mercy on the white man than they got you. Do we see that in our communities? The first thing you say, you a chosen God, you a chosen a nation, a royal priesthood for God. You know what they say? Well, what about the white man? You ever heard a black person say, what about the Chinese man? I ain't never heard. You ever heard a black person say, what about the Mexican? Hell no. Black people hypocrites. They'll talk dirty about our 10 tribe, our Latino brothers and sisters, but then tell you can't hate a white man. They'll tell you that the Mexicans is taking all the jobs. The Mexicans. They'll do that all day. How many of y'all know family like that? I do. No disrespect to my auntie because I love her. My auntie just did that to me recently. Oh, I see you with the Mexicans now. Yeah, but when it comes to the white man, you better not say nothing about my white man. Love the white man, boy. They want to talk. You know that song, Jungle Book? They want to talk like you, walk like you do. We want to be like the white man so much. You ever met a black person that got in the white man circle? He the worst. The worst. I don't know what racism you speak of. I don't know anything about that. It's not me. You just have to get up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. What about the police brutality? That's all propaganda, brother. Nobody worse. But you can see this in the spirit of our people with Esau. Esau had mercy on the Amalekites Now, the Amalekites are the most foul tribe of Edomites. But he wanted to kill David, a champion, and that won battles for him. Watch this, read.
God, verse 20. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David.
Read.
And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priests. And David said to Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. Abide thou with me, fear not. For he that seeketh my life, seeketh thy life. But with me thou shalt be in safeguard.
So he ended up fleeing, and he ended up fleeing with David. And David said, look, I got your back. David was like, I knew when I seen that filthy Edomite, I knew he was going to say something. I just knew it. And Saul was so wicked that he destroyed the priest of the Most High God. But let's see how righteous David was, though. Let's go down to chapter 23 and read verse 1. Read.
1 Samuel chapter 23, verse 1. Then they told David, saying, behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and smite these Philistines? And
the Philistines is fighting against, this is a city in Judea, and the Philistines is about to take fight against them. Read.
And the Lord said unto David, go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. And David's men said unto him, behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines?
Read.
Then David inquired of the Lord yet again. And the Lord answered him and said, arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand. So David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines and brought away their cattle and smote them with a great slaughter. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah.
Now, look how righteous David is. David's so righteous, and he has so much love for his people that he still went to go fight. He heard the Philistines was coming. He said, hey, should I go down there, Lord? The Lord said, yeah, go down there and you're going to be victorious. So he still went down to that city in Judea and fought and won. What did Saul do? Saul's so mad, he ain't even realized the enemy was just in his territory. He want to know where David at. Where David at? F all that. Where David at? That's how strong hatred for your brother can get, brothers. Check that spirit. Release yourself for that. That hatred is something thick to where he couldn't even see that his kingdom was being attacked. And he didn't even care that his kingdom was being attacked. Watch this, read.
Verse 6. And it came to pass, when Abiathar the son of Ahimelech fled to David to Keilah, that he came down with an ephod in his hand. And it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah. And Saul said, God had delivered him into my hand.
Now Saul so delirious. Saul like, yes, God has delivered David into my hand. No, David just delivered you from the Philistines. He said, God has delivered David to my hand. So now I'm going to go get him. Watch this, read.
For he is shut in by entering into a town that have gates and bars.
It's nothing worse than a brother that got hatred in his heart for another brother, and he thinks God is talking to him. Those one of the most delusional. I pray to God y'all don't have a brother like that hate you. Because that person is going to keep telling himself that God is talking to him. God is talking to me. God is talking to me. God is against my enemies. God is talking to me. But the whole time the brother delusional. I pray to the Most High God I never get delusion like that. To where you think God is still talking to you after you just killed the priest? This is real deal delusion. And is it wise to be around a person that feels that way about you? Person that feels like I got to kill you because, the Lord is telling me to? That's basically what he's saying. But watch what happens, read.
Verse 8. And Saul called all the people together in war to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men.
Now, he didn't call the people to go to war against the Philistines. He called them to go to war against David. Read.
And David knew that Saul secretly practiced mischief against him. And he said to Abiathar, the priest, bring hither the ephod. And said David, O Lord God of Israel, thy servant have certainly heard that Saul seeketh to come to Keilah to destroy the city for my sake.
Read.
Will the man of Keilah deliver me up into his hand? Will Saul come down as thy servant have heard? O Lord God of Israel.
Now, David just won and saved this city, right? So David is like, well, if I stay here, are the inhabitants of this city, after I just did this great victory for them, I just saved them, I just killed their enemies, saved their children, saved their wives, saved their cattle, I just saved them, Lord. So is it okay for me to stay here? Or are the people of this city going to deliver me up? That's cold. You ever had somebody that in this, man, I'm gonna be honest with y'all in this truth, man. It's gonna happen. You ever had that real person that you ride, die with, did everything with, he know you, everything slapped bones together, y'all slept on the floor together, y'all did everything together, that was your brother. But as soon as stuff got hot, he turned his back on you. That's gonna happen. That happened to David. This whole city turned their back on David after he won a fight for them. You understand? So not, that's why I say the Most High can't give you a spirit of fear, because ultimately, why did they turn against David? Because they feared Saul. The righteous thing to do would have been like, nah, you won this war, we with you. This whole city in Judea, nah, you won this, we with you. But that's not how everybody rolls. That's why you can't think everybody is just going to be that loyal person to you. You know who you got to trust? The Lord. Did David trust those inhabitants that he just saved? Because David could have easily said, you know what, they ain't gonna deliver me. I just won a war for them. I'm good. Nah, David said, hold on, no. Bring the ephod. Let's talk to the Lord. The only person you can truly trust is the Most High God. Let me give y'all some words of wisdom. Don't trust no one. You trust the Lord. And you trust your brothers as far as they trust the Lord. And anytime they start to seem like they're not trusting the Lord, don't be afraid to cut off. See that? Because that'd be the problem with Israel. Israel be scared to cut off. Because we brothers. Sometimes you got to cut off. And that's what David had to do. That's what Paul talks about. Paul talked about, I think the elder brought it out last night. He said, who been in more perils than me? He said, I've been in perils with false brethren. It's going to happen. Got to take the wisdom of the scriptures. Move like David. You don't hate any, but you move in wisdom, and you only trust the Lord. Right? Only. Watch what David did. Read.
O Lord God of Israel,
Read.
I beseech thee, tell thy servant. And the Lord said, he will come down. Verse 12. Then said David, will the man of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul?
Read.
And the Lord said, they will deliver thee up. Then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of
They
Keilah.
got out of there. They said, peace to this city. We out of here. They didn't say, well, they still Israelites, so maybe they won't. Maybe the Lord don't know what he's talking about. No, they got out of there. All right. And then what happened? Read.
And went whithersoever they could go. And it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbore to go forth. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph.
He had to stay in the mountains. And you know one thing I like about this and reading this, you know we always want to blame God all the time. God, why are you doing this to me? Did you ever hear David say that one time? David's sleeping in the wilderness. He's sleeping in mountains. Y'all ever slept in a mountain? We be complaining with our apartment. God, why do I have this apartment? Sleep in a mountain. Be thankful for what you got. David was thankful. David never complained. He never tripped. He never got mad at the Lord. He never cried out and none of that. He always just did what he was supposed to do, no matter what the circumstances was. The whole kingdom after him, people trying to kill him. He didn't even care. He just still stayed true to the Lord. And you know what? He had some loyal ones with him because they slept in the mountains with him. Sleeping in the mountain. Some of y'all can't even sleep on the floor. Imagine sleeping in a mountain. Think they had covers in the mountain? Probably didn't. I don't know what they had. Probably didn't, but think about it. They in a mountain. They probably had to sleep on a boulder, and they probably had to sleep with being alert. Because it ain't like you could get a good night's sleep. And you got somebody that's the king is pursuing you. Understand? So you know what type of anxiety that probably tried to set in? Do you think David cared about that though? No, because You have a freedom, and you can see this in the story with David. You have a mental freedom when you just trust the Lord. That's why the scripture says, cast your cares on the Lord, man. It is the Lord. The Lord will figure, hey, look, whatever. As long as I'm still keeping these commandments, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. And that's the spirit that David rode in. David rode in a good spirit. Watch this, read.
And it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbore to go forth. Verse 14, and David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in the mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but God delivered him not into his hand. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life.
Read.
And David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a wood. And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood, and strengthened his hand in God. And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee.
Read.
And thou shalt be king over Israel. And I shall be next unto thee. And that also Saul my father knoweth.
You see that? So that was his fear. His fear was to lose status. You know how many people are afraid to lose status? So afraid to lose status. What is a status? Status is nothing. The Lord gives status. So many people are afraid to lose status. So many people just want status. And that's what Saul wanted. He just wanted status and recognition. Forget all of that. Want to serve the Lord. And that's what David did. David wanted to serve the Lord. And that's all that I asked for. And you guys should be in that same spirit. Just serve the Lord. A lot of time people get these, and I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with y'all because the scriptures is honest, so I got to be honest. And this is a real deal thing that we deal with even in this truth. People be mad because, why am I not in a soldier's position? Why am I not in this position? And I deserve to be in this position. Who said you deserve to be anything? You know what we deserve to be? Killed for our sins. You don't, positions in Israel are not handed. You work for those and you put in the work and the Lord gives you that position. Whose business is this? People get mad at people because they got certain recognition. That's why I brought up the last lesson. That's why I brought up IUIC. So many people hate IUIC for whatever reason. You think about it. Like, why these brothers hate IUIC? Because he got a lot of people that follow him. Status. It's the truth. Brothers be hating brothers because they want people to follow them. That's not the spirit of the Most High God. That's not the spirit of the Lord. Brothers that envy brothers. Brothers that envy brothers because a brother studied, worked his butt off, passed his test, got his ranking, did what he was supposed to do, and then he got raised to a position, and brothers would get mad at that brother when that brother didn't do nothing but sleep on the job. How can you be mad at somebody that worked their butt off and worked for everything they got? You mad at that person? Work just like he did and pray to the Most High and do it for the Lord. And maybe the Lord will get you that. But people, all they want is status. That's what people want. They don't. And you know what's cold about people? People don't want to work for the status either. Did David work for his status? He had to kill thousands of people. The women just didn't start singing his name. I don't know where brothers get that from. I just need everybody to start singing my name. What did you do? I'm just gifted. Okay, what? What did you do? Just the Lord with me. What did you do? I just know the scriptures. But what did you do? Did you stay back when it was 3 a.m. with brothers to clean up? Did you sacrifice? When brothers said all hands on deck on Sunday, did you sacrifice and say, I'm going to be there? And then you got the brother that's there every week and get mad at that brother when he got a position. How you do that? I'm being honest today. I got to keep it real. It is what it is. One thing I love about, and I tell this story all the time with Iran, right? I never forget Tuesday class. Remember these 2-day classes, Iran? Iran told his job, I need Tuesdays off. This man took time off his job that was not a feast day. You wonder why he in the position he in right now? That's because the Lord seen sacrifice when he was at a low position. That brothers don't get that. Brothers just want this magical, just bing, I'm him. It don't work like that. Iram, you and I gotta say this. He didn't do that for recognition, because I mean he probably won't say nothing, but did anybody give you recognition for that? I did. I was like, dang, bro, you really taking off work for the Tuesday class? You think he got blasted in front of the class? This brother's faith. But now he's getting his flowers. But he's getting his flowers now because he started from low and worked his way up and didn't care about recognition. Some brothers need recognition too much. Some brothers need recognition too much. And then they pout like babies when they don't get it. That was Saul. That was Saul. Saul, did you do anything right that God asked you? No, but still, Saul, you want to kill David because you didn't do anything right? And David did everything right? You got to put the Most High is going to put the best man for the job. That's what he's going to do. True story. And I'm gonna tell it like it is. And my last previous situation, brothers was mad at me and used to talk about me because brothers used to come to the school looking for me. Y'all remember that? Brothers used to come to the school. Hey, where's that young little boy? And I didn't know this. I had no idea. Remember when I started my first YouTube channel, this is true story. We gonna keep the real facts. When I first started you know how many views I was getting my first YouTube channel? 5. 2 months, 5 people seen it. But did I stop? See, brothers, what you do is you get insecure because you see our good brother Sakari getting thousands of views and you getting 5, and you be like, well, I'm just gonna stop. And that's why you will never be nothing. Because you stopped. Guess what? I didn't care. You know what I did? Dang, we got 5 people that seen. The next couple months, dang, 10 people. Bro, did you see that last? It was 20 people. And kept going. No one knew what the Lord was going to do, but guess what? While other people was out doing stuff they wasn't supposed to do and getting suspended, I was doing the work. And then when they come back months later and they ain't got no following and they see this following, now they hate me. Why? I didn't tell you to go do that. You got suspended. I just did the work. This is what happens in Israel. And then next thing you know, you the bad guy, you evil, you this, you that, just like David. And this ain't gonna be the last. It ain't gonna stop with me. It ain't gonna stop with none of y'all in here. And it's not gonna stop. And with the next generation of people that's gonna come up, you always gonna have those people that are gonna hate you for you doing what you're supposed to do. You ever notice that? People never get hated for doing what they're not supposed to do. People always get hated on when they do what they're supposed to do. It's a fact. And this is what was happening with Saul. Watch this, read. Jealousy, envy. Watch this, read.
Verse 18. Mm-hmm. And they too made a covenant before the Lord, and David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house. Then came up the Ziphites to Saul to Gibeah, saying, doth not David hide himself with us in strongholds in the wood, in the hill of Hachilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon?
So now they like, look, we about to go kill him. So now let's skip a little bit. Let's see what happens. Let's read verse 27.
Verse 27. But there came a messenger unto Saul, saying, haste thee and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Wherefore Saul returned from pursuing after David and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called that place Selah Malakath.
And so we can stop there. So now go to chapter 24. Read verse 1. Yeah, start at verse 1.
1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1. And it came to pass, when Saul was returned from following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel.
Saul took 3,000 men to kill David. That's a lot of people. Now imagine that. If Saul took 3,000 men, some of y'all be shook if 10 dudes chasing you. Nah, scratch that. If 2 men was chasing you, you'd be shook. Oh, shit, they own me. It's only 2 of them. Imagine 3,000. 3,000 people trying to kill you. Watch this, read.
Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel,
read.
And went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats.
Read.
And he came to the sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave. And Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the sides of the cave.
Read.
And the man of David said unto him, behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee.
Now this is, and pay attention to this one, because I like this one right here. Read.
Behold, I will deliver thy enemy into thy hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good to thee.
Now, anybody else would have killed Saul. But you know what David did? David said, no. Let's see what David did. Read.
Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his man, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth my hand against him, seeing he is anointed of the Lord.
Now I like this. What do we do with a person in the truth that hates you, that got envy towards you, that wants to see pain being delivered unto you? What do? Do we go to war and try to box them? No, we don't. We do this. Stiff arm, you be over there. And matter of fact, any environment you in, stiff arm, I don't even want to be there. But I don't got no hate. But we good. But stay away from me. David knew that. Did David try to kill him? No, David could have. Now, what David did do, David let him know, if I wanted to, I could kill you. If I wanted to, I could kill you. But you know the greatest thing that the Lord loves? When you can hurt somebody and you don't. When you can end somebody's career, but you hold your peace. That's what the Lord, now clap it up for the Lord. That's true story. When you got all the ammo, aim, pointed, all the tapes, the documentation, everything. You got text messages, you got everything. You could do a whole blow-up session if you wanted to. Do a whole 3-hour lesson on all the wickedness and tear the whole thing up. But you say, no, we're going to let the Lord do it. And we don't move. And we focus on the Lord. But does that mean I got to be buddy with you? And we're brothers? And no, we brothers, but you stay away from me. And even in my prayers, because I'm going to be honest with y'all. How many of y'all pray for your enemies? How many of y'all pray for your enemies? You know the funny thing about it is, our family pray for Esau. We ain't talking about Esau. We're talking about your people. How many of y'all pray for your people that's your enemies? Lord bless them. I do all the time. All the time. You got to, because that wickedness, that's some strong wickedness right there. True story. That's what David is about to show you right here. Watch what he says. Read.
Verse 7. So David saved his servants with these words. And suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. David also arose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, my Lord the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. And David said to Saul, wherefore hearest thou man's words, saying, behold, David seeketh thy hurt.
You see that? I love this. Pay attention to what David says. Watch, read.
Behold, so like in verse 10, behold, this day thy eyes have seen how that the Lord have delivered thee today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me kill thee.
He said, and some of my homies wanted me to kill you. But what did he say? Read.
But my eyes spared thee, and I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed.
Read.
Moreover, my father, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand.
I love this part right here. Read.
For in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe.
Read.
And killed thee not.
He said, I could have killed you, but I didn't. Read.
Know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression on my hand.
Because I'm not an evil person. Read.
And I have not sinned against thee.
Read.
Yet thou huntest my soul to take it.
Read.
The Lord judge between me and thee.
He said, now, this is the part I want y'all to pay attention to. This is what you got to do. Sometimes you know what you got to do? He said, the Lord judge between. He said, look, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to slander you. I'm not going to ridicule you. I'm not going to try to taint you. I'm not going to do none of that. But you know what I am going to do? Let the Lord judge between me and you. If the Lord wants to destroy me, so be it. And if the Lord destroy you, so be it. Let the Lord judge between me and you. Because one thing that you cannot think that you're going to do is do evil and get back good from the Lord. So let the Lord judge you. And watch what he said. Read.
Verse 12, the Lord judged between me and thee.
Read.
And the Lord avenged me of thee. But in my hand shall not be upon thee. I said the proverb of the ancients.
Watch this proverb from the ancients. Read.
Wickedness proceeded from the wicked.
He said only wickedness can come from the wicked. You can't say you're righteous if you're pouring out wickedness. You can't say that. You ever had a person that he's your butt, and I'm keeping it 100 with y'all today, man, because it's the only way that I can be. How can you wear fringes and have a beard, but then talk evil against your brother? Is that righteous? And if you're comfortable standing there allowing that to happen, you got to question if you got a righteous spirit or not. You got to ask yourself, how can you sit there? That's like me sitting there and Lob is just dogging Shaquat. Lob just, yeah, that brother, he be in, yeah, and that brother secretly like hate on me and he be this and that brother, yeah. And then I'm sitting there like, yeah. Con. Bit con. Because I seen him too the other day too. Now that you say that, bit con. That's evil, man. That's evil. That's a wicked spirit right there. And the Most High God, this is what David revealed, and this is my favorite part of this particular story, and it's winding down to an end with Saul and David. But watch this, read.
Verse 13. I said the proverb of the ancients. Wickedness proceeded from the wicked.
Read.
But my hand shall not be upon thee.
Read.
After whom is the king of Israel come out? After whom does thou pursue? After a dead dog, after a flea. The Lord therefore be judge, and judge between me and thee, and see, and plead my cause, and deliver me out of thy hand.
You ever told something? You know how epic that is to tell somebody that? Hey man, let the Lord judge between me and you. It ain't my cause. Let the Lord judge between me and you. True story. I've been in this thing for quite some time. All praises to the Most High God. I hope that we all can see many more years. But do you know how many people wanted us to die and not be here and prayed against it? But you can't pray against what the Lord has already said was going to happen. You can't do that. Where they do that at? Why kick against the pricks? The Most High God judge between whoever it is, and that's the energy that y'all got to have within yourselves. When y'all continue to get 10, 20 years, 12 years in the truth, and you make friends and lose friends, because that's what you're going to do in this truth. You're going to make friends and you're going to lose friends. The attitude and the spirit that y'all should have is let the Lord judge between me. If you've done all you can to exhaust the scriptures and the commandments and righteousness, and it just won't work, you just got to dust your hands off and let the Lord judge and let the Lord be the avenger. That's what you do. And you put your head down and you do the works. Because one thing you got to realize is this: the Lord gives the increase. So you put your work in, you do what you got to do. If brothers want and desire a position of leadership or whatever the case may be, if brothers desire a position to be great in Israel, you know how you start by being great in Israel? You don't start by hating the brother that worked to get that position. You start by being what? What did Christ say? What did Christ do for his disciples? He washed their feet. And he also said the least of you is the greatest. So when a brother's back there sweeping and you look, I ain't sweeping, I shouldn't have to sweep, but that brother gonna be greater than you, because the least shall be great. You think the lights, camera, and action is that's the greatest of you? Most High said the least is the greatest of you. So it's kind of like an oxymoron, because brothers be hating on IUIC because IUIC is a potentially great camp. But the funny thing about it is, I don't desire to be great. I desire to just do the work. Let the Lord do the increase and give what he give. I just hope the Father tells me, well done, my faithful servant. That's all. That's all that I hope he tell me. Right now, we can wake up tomorrow and it be 5 people in here. And I'm going to say, let's do the work. We can wake up tomorrow, it be me sitting in the chair by myself. I'm going to upload videos. We going to do this work. That's all that matters. And that's the same mentality all you guys got to have. And if y'all all had a mentality, how big and how strong and how powerful could we be? Where could the Lord take us if he choose to? But the ultimate goal, I'm going to tell y'all like this. The ultimate goal is not to have it in this life. The ultimate goal is to have it in the next. That's where you want it. You don't want it in this life. You don't want the money, the fame, the cars, the recognition. You don't want all of that in this life. You want it in the next life. That's the life you want it in. That's the life that we trying to fight. You understand? Watch this. Read.
Verse 16. And it came to pass when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul,
read,
that Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I,
read,
for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. And thou hast showed this day how that thou hast dealt well with me. For as much as when the Lord had delivered me into thy hand, thou killedest me not.
Now, you know what's cold? After Saul said that whole speech, what y'all think Saul still did to David? Tried to kill him. That's why, brothers, you can't take the lip service. Y'all want me to give y'all an example of the lip service and the truth? Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Bakatan, Shalom, all praises, all praises. They do the little shake. Oh, yeah, this is my brother, Khan, yeah, Shalom, yeah. All of that, that don't judge a man in the truth. A man saluting you and giving you the salute, that don't mean nothing. You judge a man by the way he acts, his works. Look at how his works is to the Lord. That's how you judge a man. You don't judge a man by the lip service that he can tell you. You don't judge a man or a sister by how long he hugs you and embraces you. You judge a man based off the patterns of the fruits that he bear. Didn't he give us the blueprint? He said that I know them by the what? The fruit that they bear. That's how you know. And you keep moving. This is war, fellas. This is war. And you can learn. Man, go back and read all David. Well, we read from chapter 1 all the way to 25. We still not done. We got to get to the next chapter of King Saul and King David. I might end it right here. Yeah, I might end it right here. Con, I may end it right here. I might read 25. How much time we got? We got like 30 minutes. Let's read a little bit of 25. So go to 25 and read verse you know what? I'm gonna end it right. I'm gonna end it a little early. I'm gonna end it right here because it kind of restarts the whole narrative with David and the transition of David being king. So I want to put a nail in the coffin with Saul. Saul would be matter of fact, let's skip a little bit. I'll read. Let's skip to the end of Saul. Let's skip to the end of Saul. Go to chapter 27. All right. And let's read verse, actually go to 28. And read verse 1. Con, the water.
1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle.
All right, so let's skip a little bit down. So now the Philistines are coming against Saul again. And let's skip because David was actually living in the city in the province of the Philistines. So let's read verse 3. Go to verse 3.
Verse 3. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah.
All right, so Samuel had died. Read.
Even in his own city.
Read.
And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land.
Read.
And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the hosts of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled.
Read.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets.
So Saul seen the Philistines and was actually asking for the Lord to show him what he should do, but the Lord answered him not. Let's see what happened. Read.
Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that have a familiar spirit.
Saul went so far off. Saul was like, I need a woman that got a familiar spirit. Now, y'all know what the law says about a woman with a familiar spirit, right? What does the law say about a woman with a familiar spirit? What are you supposed to do? Kill him. Supposed to kill him. So Saul went to go seek this person. So what do we have with Saul? All because it started with the hatred of David. Look how the seed that was planted, which was hatred, and look at the fruit that it birthed. This man killed the priest. This man tried to kill his brother. This man tried to kill no, he did kill the priest, tried to kill David, tried to kill his son, and now he's going to a witch to conjure up spirits so that he can know what he should do. This is the evil that he fell into because it all started with the hatred for his brother. That's why I say that hatred for your brother can cause you to do some crazy stuff. I think that's like a sickness that have hatred, because it can create so much other things. Watch this. Read.
Verse 7 again, and it says, Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that have a familiar spirit,
Read.
that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, Read. Behold, there is a woman that have a familiar spirit in Eddor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul have done, how he have cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
So basically what Saul wants her to do is conjure up spirits to bring back Samuel, so Samuel can try to tell him what to do. But why would he even do that? Like he told you when he was alive that wasn't going to work. You thought it was going to work after he was dead? You know what I mean? This is the delusion that one can have. Read.
Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Read. Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, Read. I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Read. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself.
Now, this is the message that he gives Saul, and this is the beginning of the end of Saul. Read.
And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed.
Read.
For the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answered me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams.
Read.
Therefore I have caught thee, that thou mayest make known to me what I shall do.
Read.
Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me?
He's like, why are you asking me after I'm dead? Read.
Seeing the Lord is departed from me.
He's like, thee. The Lord departed from you when I was alive. And I told you that. So why are you asking me after I'm dead? But I'll tell you what the Lord is going to say. Read.
And is become thy enemy. And the Lord have done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord have rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and give it to thy neighbor, even to David, because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek.
Read.
Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto this day.
Read.
Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me.
He said, tomorrow thou and thy sons may be with me, meaning what? Y'all gonna die tomorrow. Tomorrow you're gonna die. Man, that's why it's a terrible thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. He said, tomorrow you are going to die. And you know what happened tomorrow? He died. That's what happened. Watch this. Read. Let's go from there. Let's skip. Let's go to chapter 29. And let's read verse let's read actually 31. Yeah, 31. Salakia. Read 31 and 1.
1 Samuel chapter 31, verse 1.
Read.
Now the Philistines fought against Israel.
Read.
And the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons.
Read.
And the Philistines slew Jonathan.
And you know what's cold about that? Unfortunately, Jonathan had to be slew too. You know, and that's the thing about the Lord. You know, the Lord is just his judgment. But Jonathan was righteous. But Jonathan had to be slew too. Jonathan got killed. Read.
And Abinadab and Malchishua, Saul's sons.
Read.
And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers.
So that's a bow and arrow. All right. Bow and arrow hit him, and he was wounded. Read.
Then said Saul unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me.
That's crazy, because he told his armor bearer, he said, look, bro, kill me, because I don't want them to catch me, because if they catch me, they're gonna torture me. So it's over for me. I'm done. And you know what's crazy about this? Even after all the things Saul did, I still feel bad when I read that. Like I do. Like when I was reading that, because I read this whole story, I really was like, dang, man, I do feel bad that he had to go out like that. But it's the judgment of the Lord. You know? So he already knew he was done. But what happened? Read.
But his armor bearer would not.
Because his armor bearer didn't want to do it. Read.
For he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon the sword and died with him.
You know what's so crazy about that? The way Saul destroyed his kingdom is how he destroyed himself. Self-sabotage. Killed himself. That was the whole story of Saul. Saul literally killed himself, from not just like his physical life, but just his whole kingship. He killed it himself. And the crazy thing about it is, a lot of times when people have hatred and vitriol for their brother in their heart, they destroy their own selves. It's like, dang, you didn't even have to do that. If you would have just did X, Y, and Z, you wouldn't even have got destroyed. But your own imagination caused you to get destroyed. That's why, brothers, sisters, stay out of your own head. Don't let your brain trick you. Always come back to the scriptures and go to somebody that's righteous and pray to the Most High, because your mind and your heart can trick you. But Saul died, killed himself. But I think the worst part is what they did to his body. Read.
Verse 6. So Saul died, and the 3 sons and his armor bearer and all his men that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were,
verse 8.
Verse 8. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons falling in Mount Gilboa.
So they seen Saul and his 3 sons, and what they do? Read.
And they cut off his head.
And they cut off his head.
And stripped off his armor.
Read.
And sent into the land of the Philistines round about, to publish it in the house of their idols.
They took Saul's head and danced around their idols with it. That's disgraceful. That's a disgrace. That's a disgraceful death. Killed yourself. They took his head, danced around their idols with it. Read.
And among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth. And they fastened his body to the wall at Bethshan.
And then they took his body and fashioned it to a wall. So imagine just his body just hanging on the wall to rot and decay. Is that a proper burial? No, it's not. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. And little do you guys might not know, and you guys might not know, little do you guys understand, is that you know how the Egyptians was real big on burial? Israel was too. They took their ancestors' bones everywhere they went. But you know what's so cold about this? You know what happened to Saul's bones? They got burned. They eventually, his body ended up getting burnt to crisp. That's not normally how Israel does it. Normally how Israel does it, they keep their bones. They kept the bones of their forefathers. They kept the bones of David and the kings and all of that. So essentially, Saul was erased from history. The only reason why we remember him is because he's in the scriptures. But you don't have his bones. You don't have none of that. He's totally erased from the kingship and all of that. That's basically the sign that the Most High was showing him. Erased all his sons. You understand? So let this be a lesson to everybody that you don't want to be like Saul. All right? You don't want to have that hatred. You don't want to have any of that in your heart growing. Make sure that you keep yourself. Let's get the law real quick. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Is that Leviticus?
Yeah.
19? Yeah. Let's get this. Let's end it with this.
The book of Leviticus.
And we still on the kings, y'all. We just getting started. So we got to go with David next. Read.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 17.
Read.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart.
Read.
Thou shalt anywise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
Read.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
Read.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
And on that note, we're going to end it. All praises to the Most High. All right. Who got a question? Somebody had a question? Imai, you got a question? Use the mic.
No, it wasn't a question. It was just a point. If Saul would just accept his judgment, it wouldn't be as bad as it is now, I guess, where he was just going to lose the kingdom and it would have been that's it. But he made himself worse where he got his whole existence wiped out.
That's a good point. Brother said it wouldn't have been that bad if he would have just accepted. If he would have just accepted his judgment, what would have happened? He would have just lost the recognition. But when you got so much hate, I cannot lose this recognition, and especially to you. And that's like worse than death to some people. Like, I'd rather die than see this man lifted up. That's how strong his hatred was. Go ahead. Somebody else?
I wanted to ask what happened to Jonathan.
Oh, he got killed. I think we read it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's read it again for. Yeah. Jonathan got killed, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, because Jonathan was a good guy, but yeah, read that. Read it for.
1 Samuel chapter 31, verse 2. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons. And the Philistines slew Jonathan.
See, they killed him. So they killed all his sons. Every son that Saul had, they killed him.
And remember, Samuel, that's what he said. He told Saul that your sons is going to be here too. You and your sons.
Yeah, he said, you and your sons going to be with me tomorrow. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, so, yeah, Jonathan died. The best friend of David. Yeah. Who else got a question? Gadar? Get the mic to Gadar.
So even though Jonathan was righteous, was that a judgment for him because of his father?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how the Lord. Sometimes I'm gonna just say this, and then Kalab, I got you. The Lord don't see as a man. The Lord is different. He don't see as a man. If I leave Jonathan alive, that's potentially bringing that spirit of Saul back, which potentially gives that spirit of Saul the seat at the table to reign. So he had to kill off Jonathan. Why did he have to kill Jonathan? Because how could David be king? Who would have been king? Jonathan. So he had to wipe out his seed. Unfortunately, casualty of war. It sucks, man. But yeah, that's how I be sometimes. Go ahead.
Khan Salaki, and also remember, Saul said, whoever ate the honey gonna die. So ultimately, it's like like the Lord had him kept that word, like. Even though Jonathan didn't know, when Jonathan came back and ate the honey, and Saul said whoever ate it, they're gonna die. And remember, he told them because they cast lots, and then it was him and his son, and then they cast lots again. Yeah. And Jonathan was taken.
You can look at it like that, but ultimately Jonathan died because his father was wicked as hell, and unfortunately sometimes it happens like that. Like even with David, you've seen that with David. David's son died. Remember the child that we'll get into that story, but unfortunately sometimes in the scriptures your loved ones die, man, when you act when you're not acting right according to the scriptures. What's up, Namanawa?
So with Saul's body being paraded through the Philistines' land, is that the time mocking him?
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember what did Samuel tell him? Samuel said you became God's enemy. You understand? So absolutely, that was the Most High mocking him. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, okay, Khan. All right. So any other questions? No? All praises. All right, Khan. Get a Most High hand clap. Oh. Somebody else got a question. Sorry, Salaki. Oh yeah, we'll end class. All right, get a Most High hand clap. We'll go ahead and end it there. Shalom to everybody online. We love you guys. Until next time, we'll be here back here for 4:30 class next Sabbath, and me and the elder will be on Friday at 8 o'clock. You guys have a beautiful, blessed Sabbath. Shalom, Israel. Shalom.